Hey there. Well, it is another hot day in the garden, covered in mud, and there's probably lots of grass clippings on me. I just did a bunch of weed eating to try to get the gardens looking tidy. They look so much better when they've been all trimmed up. It just looks so nice, and having these flowers was such a good idea. Even with all the other beds back here empty, just having some flowers blooming is perfect. Those and this amaranth is actually really stunning. Look how good that is looking. I think it's a little small because it was in a container and then I transplanted it out here. So it probably would have been bigger if I just started it from seed. I am coming out here to water though. Let me grab my hose because I did plant those seeds and I do have the containers. So it is really very warm here still. We're technically past the heat wave, but it's still really pretty hot. And we got a thunderstorm last night, which it's one of those sort of brief thunderstorms, but I think it probably still dumped quite a bit of water. The garden honestly looks totally fine. So I just figured I'd water a couple things back here just to make sure that everything, there's some stuff in the pots. My topiaries here look like they're a little bit thirsty. I probably should pot them up into the bigger containers that I've got for them, or even stick them in the ground because they're looking a little thirsty. But I also planted those seeds, and that's the thing, with seeds, you can't let them dry out. So it's I got to get out here and water, even though the weather is saying we're going to get another thunderstorm tonight. We'll see if we actually do. It's always sort of hard to know. So I'm not really going to give anything else too much water because I'm trying not to over water anything. I think was one of my struggles earlier in the season. I have backed way off with the watering, and really even given the ground a couple days in between watering, and everything's looking so much the tomatoes look so much better. That and the heat, they're really happy. Actually, I have to show you the zinnias out in the front garden. I have some zinnias blooming, which is so exciting because that feels like we're actually doing something with this summer garden. But I put some seeds in here, so I'm just going to make sure that top layer of soil doesn't dry out. Put a couple zinnias in the front of this bed, so let's make sure that doesn't dry out. My daughter's harvested a couple tomatoes off of this Juliet tomato this morning, which was kind of fun. It was a good thing. Look at that. Okay, this is why we love zinnias. I planted this 2 days ago when I filmed that video planting this, and there's already zinnias popping up. That's why zinnias are the best. Let's see if there's any in here. I put the lily put in here. Oh, yep, there they are. Oh my gosh. That's the awesome thing about zinnias. If you want a quick flower from seed, sometimes you don't want to just get everything started, but you want a flower quick, zinnias are it. Especially once it's hot out. I find that, the first round of zinnias that I plant in the spring usually grows so much slower than once it's summer and it's hot out. And then I start planting a second round. I usually plant a second round of zinnias sometime around this time, actually. Early July is a good time for that. And oh my gosh, they just grow so fast because they love that heat. So the other thing that I'm kind of considering now too, I'm going to be placing an order here for my seed garlic for the fall. And I'm not fully ready to go in with starting fall seeds, but I've started making a list. I've started planning. So this is your reminder if you want to do garlic and onions. Ooh, I'm getting stuck on something. Garlic and onions. Sorry, this hose probably sounds really annoying. If you want to do garlic and onions and those kind of things in the fall, this is your reminder that it's time to make sure you've got your seed garlic and everything ordered, or you pick it up so you're ready to go, because that's going to be starting pretty soon. I'm excited for it. The garlic, remember I planted garlic this spring and I planted onion sets. they're really not doing well at all. It could be just the terrible weather that I had that was hard for everything. I'm just going to water this area because I'm out here with the hose. We had such terrible weather, and it was difficult for almost every plant in the garden. It seems like it just is really rough, and so I could be the that caused my garlic and my onions, or it could have been like I just should plant them in the fall and let them winter over. We have such a good winter weather for growing here in Zone 7A in Virginia. It's like our winters are pretty darn mild. Maybe we get like a week of really cold. We could always, there's always a danger here that you could get like a really sort of like bizarre, abnormal cold snap that could kind of kill everything that you're trying to grow over the winter. But a lot of times it's really pretty good weather for growing. So, you know, I'm gonna try it. Okay, I'm gonna water these topiaries one more time. When I see plants that look like they're like flagging like this, I like to come back and water them like once or twice and kind of just make sure that they're really getting hydrated, especially when they're in small containers, because sometimes I think the water rushes all the way out and they don't get quite as much water as they want. Okay, and then let's go over to the front garden. I saw this, someone posting, and I thought it was really great that just because you're in a heat wave doesn't mean you're in a drought. And I think it's really important to remember. If I did not have these seeds, I would not be watering at all. And I probably would just be letting the rain do this, but yeah, well, maybe there's some clouds over there. Okay, I also brought my spray bottle because my Japanese beetles have been on my apple tree. And so I sprayed some neem oil on the apple tree earlier. I don't think that killed them, so I'm going to come back in and do a second round of spraying here with some soapy water. The combination of the neem oil and the soapy water seems to be kind of working, but I don't know. All right, let me get the hose set up and then we'll spray it. This is so rough to see. Here we go. They really found this. So this is just Castile soap. I'm trying to give the trees some extra water too. This is just Castile soap and water, like nothing fancy. But the combination seems to have been being somewhat effective. So I've got Aroma tomato here. I've got a couple of Sun Golds. And then these are, I think, some of my big, like, slicer tomatoes. And what I think I need to come out and do green beans tonight too. What I think I'm gonna do is like just a line of twine from one of these poles down here to the other and just use that to sort of hold the tomatoes up. I think there's a name for it. I want to say it's like a French something. There's a name for it. I don't remember, but anyway, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that really quick with a twine. And maybe one day I'll get like real big tomato cages, but for now this will work. I think I need to add another stake in the middle, and I also need to get these more secure in the ground, but I'm just gonna pick some green beans for now. I want to get, I think, eventually some of those like big, I didn't even bring out a harvest bucket. It's that time of year where I need to start remembering to do that. I need to get out one of those big, like, just tomato kind of cages, like a really big sturdy one. They're I know they make some really nice, like almost like obelisks, kind of big tomato cages. Okay, I think I'm gonna have too many of these. These are the Gold Rush. I remember the name, Gold Rush green beans. So they're supposed to be yellow like this. They're absolutely loaded. Oh, look at that big spider. Yikes. Okay, I need to figure out what I can put all my green beans in. All right, I got a harvest basket because I also noticed that my French filet green beans are also ripening. So I gotta harvest those as well. I'm so thrilled to have like an actual harvest out here in the garden. It's pretty cool. And I'm noticing that my daughters are really getting a kick out of like eating the food that comes from the garden. They always want to come out here and pick stuff, and they're like interested. Like they ate almost all of these green beans fresh. The green beans do really taste incredible. Although I just tried one of the French fillets. I'll take you over there in a second once I'm done here. And they are so much better. Even amongst, you know, homegrown green beans, it's interesting to grow. I've never had enough space to grow like a couple varieties at a time. And so it's really interesting to try those like side by side like that. And I've always liked French filet. They're like this more narrow, and they're just so tender and sweet. So they're my pick. Okay, this is gonna take me a minute. Pretty good for our second harvest. All right, now the French filet. I planted these way too close. I don't even know what I was thinking with spacing. So they're very stunted. Probably like this, they should probably be a little bit longer than this. But even though they are small, they are so delicious. And so they're a little short because they're planted too close together and stunted. But they wouldn't always be like skinny like this. Just so sweet, so sweet, so tender and sweet. And oh my gosh, you've not tasted green beans until you've tasted like a French filet green bean right out of the garden. It's like if a green bean could be a candy. That's what it is. It's like a candy green bean. Now I'm trying to weed, because even though I did that huge like weeding, and I got almost, you know, I got all these garden beds all like weeded and looking really nice. We got, you know, a couple more rainstorms and I feel like we're right back where we started. My little salad more cucumber is taken off though. I realized that if you're gonna do the no-dig growing method and you're gonna put the cardboard down, do not then, like I dug into the soil beneath to plant my perennials because they were big plants. They came in big pots. Well, that totally negates all the work that you did by putting down the cardboard, of course, and then whatever is like the weed seeds in the soil are just gonna then just like grow through those spots and in that soil that you inevitably dig up. And so it doesn't do any good. So lesson learned on that. Next time I do a no dig bed, it's like you just gotta seed into it, or maybe transplant like something really small and you know, shallow rooted, and just plant like a start or a plug. Here are the zinnias, which are finally blooming. I think these are, I think they're just like a, maybe a Bennery's Giant, or even just one of those like classic mixes, but this is a really pretty one. Let's step over my bed here. This is a Queen Lemon Peach. Really, really pretty. I'm so happy to have a few zinnias out here. At least it's gonna be, there's some bright spot in this garden. I've got to get, for some reason only a few came up. I don't know. But this whole bed is actually doing really well. The Moon and Stars watermelon is kind of, like, fingers crossed, kind of taking off. I'm letting it sort of trail over here over the grass. We'll see what it does. And then over here, the cosmos are still looking great, but these are the pumpkin on a stick, which are the eggplant that grow up and grow those little pumpkins off the stems. And look at them. They have, like, survived all the impossible and are going. Here's another thing I'm gonna harvest. I'm gonna grab this eggplant because I don't know what kind of variety this is, and it hasn't really grown in a couple days. So I think it's probably, yeah, it feels ready to go. I might have even let it go too long. I think I gotta remember this is a small variety of eggplant. So, oh yeah, I let it go too long. Oh, it's full of ants. Oh, yuck. We'll just leave it over there. Trying to let everything go back into the soil. And I'm excited, another little, like, seedling that just came out of nowhere is this ground cherry seedling that I thought was for sure a goner. It's even putting on some little ground cherries, like being so cute. And here's another pumpkin on a stick. Look at that. So all is not lost. Just literally weeding at every turn. It's just the constant battle. My okra is getting big. Yeah, I have to come out here and remind myself that things are looking good. Oh my gosh, and my one zucchini. No, this is my one zucchini that was looking okay. That looks like either it got just bumped or there's a vine borer. No, hopefully that second round that I planted will do better. My goodness. I've been putting the grass now just back on the bed. There's no seeds on it, so it's just the roots and letting them dry out, and then hopefully they'll just become more mulch in the soil. If you see those piles, that's what I'm trying to do. I just trying to save every last little bit of soil, and if you're gonna grow green material, you can be more organic material back on the soil. This is actually another cosmos as well. And we got one sunflower, so, you know, it's fun to get a little harvest. It makes you feel like you're doing stuff. Now, unfortunately, these peppers here, just gonna take those off so that the plant knows it has to reroot. That might be because this plant is tipped over and I need to get it in a cage. I'm remiss on some of the, like, infrastructure of the garden, like, you know, things for my peppers to grow on and stuff like that. I just don't have it set as well as I really should, and that's the kind of thing you sacrifice. Oh, here's a little Fresh Bites orange. I'm gonna leave that there because my daughters love to come out and pick stuff like that. One banana pepper. All right, well, I'm headed back to the back garden just to double check that I got everything buttoned up and that the deer fence is all put up. I did end up, oh my gosh, when I came out here to this garden earlier, there were deer literally, like, right outside of the garden gate. Oh my gosh, they are everywhere in these woods. So yeah, it all looks good, all buttoned up back here, which is good. That's what we need. That's what we want. Okay. Well, I'm definitely feeling this, like, summer weather right now. Boy, it is fully summer. Usually, so we're right at 4th of July week, right? Just passed. Usually this is the absolute peak of the garden for me. In past years, this has been like the 1st and 2nd week of July were the absolute best weeks in the garden. And we're certainly not there this week. Although, you know, we're getting harvests now. So finally, but it's really interesting. I'm going to be so curious as the years go by to see how this goes. I'm sure I'll be farther along this time next year. But yeah, usually like it's interesting to be coming, you know, be at this like 4th of July-ish time period and just to kind of take stock. I try, well, obviously I make all these videos, so that's kind of how I like record and, you know, document. If I ever really need to go back and see like, what was that variety? I'll kind of like look on Instagram or look here, and usually I can kind of tell. But also, I kind of try to like make a marker of the dates, you know, like where are we as far as, you know, at 4th of July, where is the garden at? And using kind of like some of those holidays and those dates to just kind of like put into my mind what we're doing and how it's going. And it's just kind of helpful, I think, for me to just have those times, because you don't forget them, you know, year after year. I plant my peas on St. Patrick's Day. I start my seeds on Valentine's Day. My garden is usually peaking on the 4th of July. Well, it might have to be a different holiday in coming years. I don't know. What is that? Oh, those are the deer. They're trying to come back. There's like a couple mamas and a couple babies. You guys are not allowed over here. They are very, very bold in this neighborhood, which is honestly like slightly disconcerting because they don't seem really scared of anything. So it's a little bit strange. I'm not used to that. With the deer I had growing up, we're not like that. But yeah, they're over there in the field. Can't really see them now. Stay out of the garden. Stay out of the garden. All right. I'll talk to you all later. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Oh, and thank you so much for watching and hanging out a little garden summer evening with me.